welcome to the second instalment of the BRSCC Mazda Super Series. For the first time ever, our drivers are gracing the Welsh countryside here at Pembrey Circuit. Now, as a guest drive and a bit of a surprise to the paddock, we have Brian Chandler, a 2015 Mark I Championship winner, joining us here and starting on pole position. Now, I've got Simon Fleet here starting in second position. As you all know, got 3 out of 3 podiums at Brands Hatch, so we're quite excited to see how these guys are going to get on. The track is very warm. It's going to cause them a little bit of difficulties out there, but it's going to be a fun one to watch. So Andy, straight over to you.
Yeah, thanks Lindsay. Well, it is a baking hot Easter weekend that greets us here in South Wales, and as you said, Brian Chandler and Simon Fleet sharing the front row for this one. James Kelly's back with Joe Marshall-Burks on row 2, with Jeremy Crook, Clive Powells, Alex Miller and Matt Pickford rounding out the top 8. Then it's Darren Kell, Declan Lee, Cameron Thompson and Liz Walton to round out the field. Well, this is a circuit that, as Lindsay was alluding to, most of the drivers have very little experience of. They may have done the odd track day here, maybe the odd race, but it's certainly the circuit they have the least racing experience of. Could throw up a few surprises. Race 1 underway here at Pembrey then, and Brian Chandler makes a good start from pole position, as you would expect from a man of his experience. Simon Fleet looking to try and slot into second place, but this first tight right-hander at Hatchets, you really need to be on the inside line. Simon is on the outside though. That could lead to some pressure being applied by James Kell on the run down towards turn 2 at Spitfires. On board Matt Pickford, looking back at Alex Miller there and the 15 car of Clive Powells. Wheel to wheel for second though, into the left-hander at Debenny, and Simon Fleet hanging on for the time being. Then James Kell will be keen to get on with this though and get past Simon Fleet to see if he's got the pace to go after the race leader Chandler. Down towards the next left-hander they go. Oh, and that's Jeremy Crook. Jeremy Crook on the grass and bang into the side of James Kell. Simon Fleet unfortunately caught up in that as well, and Jeremy Crook with a big hit there into the completely blindsided James Kell and Simon Fleet. They would have had no idea that was coming, and that had all the hallmarks of a brake failure or a throttle that was stuck open. That, I don't think, was a driving error there by Jeremy Crook. He's an experienced enough driver to know that you need to slow down for the corners, and I think as soon as he realised there was a problem, he bailed out onto the grass on the inside line and unfortunately collided heavily with 2 of our potential podium finishers. Now though, it looks as though all 3 of them may well be out of the race. Hands coming out of the cockpits because the safety car, no, in fact the red flag is being thrown. The race is being suspended straight away. And so unfortunately, before we've even got our first racing lap around Pembrey underway, the race is being called to a halt so that the marshals can remove the cars from the scene. Here's a replay. You can see the smoky Crook in the background, and oh, that was a big hit as he went into the side of James Kell. Simon Fleet may have got away with that without too much damage. The same, sadly, cannot be said of Jeremy Crook, and his day, possibly weekend, may be over. Well, really disappointing stuff there from... Well, really disappointing stuff there then for Jeremy Crook, Simon Fleet and James Kell, none of whom will take the restart. Brian Chandler, therefore, has the front of the grid all to himself as for the second time this afternoon. Red lights go out, and we are away and racing at Pembrey with a slightly depleted grid crew, sadly. Not what we wanted to see at the start of the weekend. Looking on board again with Matt Pickford there. He's got a good shot at getting a podium position here. And in fact, he's already challenging for that podium around the outside of the fast-starting Clive Powells. Clive, though, actually started 1 position in front of Matt. Matt trying to leapfrog him into the first 2 corners. These 2 tight right-handers to start off the lap, then into the left-hander, the quick left-hander at Debenny, which will be, I'd say, almost flat out in full racing conditions here. Alex Miller there, the number 7 for Moore Motorsport, attacking Clive Powells on the run through these quick left-handers. Down towards the S's they will go. Hard on the brakes now. This is the scene of the incident on the initial start. Thankfully, everybody's safely through by the looks of it on this occasion. And then through the long right-hander down towards Brooklands. It's a short, sharp, and very high-speed lap this, which means that slipstreaming comes into play quite a lot. We should see lots of close racing action. It's a shame we've lost a few drivers here. The racing really got underway. Board back Pickford, that's Darren Kell getting it all wrong, coming out of the Brooklands hairpin though. Coming under pressure from Cameron Thompson in the blue and silver car, who looks to the inside, into the daunting right-hander at Woodlands. This is a really difficult part of the circuit to run side by side through, and then through Honda Curve, the final turn out onto the start-finish line of Park Straight, where it will be Brian Chandler that leads the opening lap of the race, no doubt about that, with Joseph Marshall-Burks in second position. The fight really is for third on back, with Clive Powells for the time being fending off Alex Miller and Matt Pickford. Matt tried that outside line down here at Hatchets on the opening lap, and it didn't really work. He lost a bit of ground. He's ended up dropping down to 5th rather than moving into 3rd as he was hoping to do. It's all starting to stack up a little bit now behind the silver and green car of Clive Powells. Very experienced Mark 1 racer is Clive. his first appearances really in the Mark III Super Series. Matt Pickford, though, has been doing this for some time, and he's trying to assert some of that experience here as he goes on the inside of Alex Miller. Nice move made. Fourth place then now belongs to the yellow, the blue, the red, and a bit of silver, number 16 car, the Martini-inspired livery on Matt Pickford's car. And moves up an extra position there, but he's still on way for the podium that he would so crave, and had a best finish at Brands Hatch of 6th place, which was in the first race, but then non-finished in the second, and that really took him on the back foot for the rest of the weekend. 13th in the final race was all he could manage. Slightly small gritty at Brands Hatch, though, but had at Brands Hatch. Partly, I'm sure, because of the fact that it's a little bit of distance for some of the teams to travel, but it's good to see that most of the series regulars have made the trip down here to South Wales and are being blessed and rewarded with this glorious Easter Bank Holiday weekend weather. Not often we get to say that, is it, here in England over the Easter weekend, but yeah, glorious weather, very warm conditions, track temperatures well into the high 20s this afternoon, maybe even approaching the low 30s, and it's set to get even hotter tomorrow for the remaining two races, so the drivers are going to have to look after themselves here. It's physical stuff, pedalling these pretty rapid Mark III MX-5s around what is, as you can see, quite a bumpy and technically demanding circuit, so it takes its toll on the drivers' bodies. Whilst these drivers, many of them have several years of experience in motor racing, they may not have experienced this sort of weather all that often, so it is a physically demanding weekend in store for them. Matt Pickford, the inside of Clive Powell's. Now, I don't think he was attempting a move there initially. I think he was actually defending from Alex Miller, and in doing so, outbraked himself almost. It very nearly led to an overtake on Clive Powell's. It didn't work, though. That holds him up on the exit of Brooklands, so into Woodland, Alex Miller retakes the 4th position. That was a bit unfortunate there for Pickford. That is often the difficulty when you're stuck in the middle of a trio of cars. You're attacking and defending at the same time. Go for a move, whether intentionally or not, and it doesn't work. You lose momentum, and in a series as close and fought as this one, you're likely to lose at least one position. And actually, Matt was lucky that there weren't more cars queuing up behind these three. So Miller back into 4th position. Alex had 2 top 10 finishes at Brands Hatch, including a best finish of 5th in the 3rd and final race. Brian Chandler is a former winner in this championship. In fact, the last time he appeared in the Super Series, he won all 3 races, and that was also in Wales. That was North Wales, it was Anglesey, and in rather different conditions, rather wet, slippery weekend, I seem to remember, towards the back end of last year that Brian Chandler starred in. He's looking to try and repeat that hat-trick again this weekend in slightly warmer climbs. There's Darren Kell getting it all out of shape through the S's, and having already lost that position a lap or so ago to Cameron Thompson, he's now sort of finding himself in no man's land. Which is either this Walter or Declan. Darren Kell, who himself got himself a top 10 finish last time out, father of James Kell, and in fact he's about to gain a position because the ailing Cameron Thompson is very slow off the Brooklands hairpin. Was that a missed gear, or is there an issue maybe? Well, there's one potential issue, which is that the bonnet is starting to come loose. The last thing he needs is for that to fly up into the windscreen. That could do some serious damage. Just to get that sorted out. If nothing else, it will play on his mind. I'm sure he'll be able to see that maybe just falling to doubt maybe the confidence that he has in that car. Needs to just keep an eye to that. Darren Kell on the spot then. And in fact, the white car that, as I say, I think was Declan Lee in the background has vanished now, or at least dropped some way back. So these two now in a little bit of no man's land as well. Darren Kell, though, pushing on here, and he looks set almost certainly now to repeat a top 10 finish that he had at Brands Hatch, because as long as he finishes this race, he'll be in the top 10. But he would like to gain as many positions as he can, and he's not a million miles away from that podium scrap going on up the road. So if Darren can use this clean air now to up his pace, then he may well be able to catch up to them. His pace is improving all the time. He's setting personal best lap time for Darren. Second on the pace that Brian Chandler's running. Brian is one of, I think, the most experienced Mazda MX-5 driver on the grid, albeit most of that experience coming in Mark 1 cars rather than these slightly more modern Mark 3 machines. He has raced this car a few times and almost always is on the podium in it, so it's no surprise really to see Brian Chandler leading the way. But we believe this is just a shakedown for future appearances, possibly in the MX-5 Super Cup later this year for Brian. So I don't really be too concerned about what results he gets this weekend. It's just a case of trying to make sure the car is working as it should be. The rest of them, though, who are in the Super Series for the long haul, they'll be after podiums if they can get them, and that was Alex Miller nearly running into the back of Clyde Powell's as they came out of Spitfires, the second corner. I'm not sure what happened there. Possibly another missed gear there, maybe from Clive Powell. We're on board with Pickford, looking back at no one because they're a mile ahead of anybody else. But in front of him, it's all going on as Clive Powell tries his best to hang on to this third position and succeeds in doing so as well. So Alex Miller very briefly had his nose in front there, I think, but whatever happened to Clive Powell, he'll be hoping that it doesn't repeat itself, because not only did he nearly lose his podium spot, but he very nearly got drilled from behind by the number 7 car. Another significant contact in this race that we can do without. Significant drives doing that now. Cameron Thompson did it. They've just gone through Brooklands a lap or so ago, and now Clive Powell's possibly missing a gear. Again, I would imagine from this relative inexperience that the drivers have of this place, it's not that it makes you forget how to drive. Drivers know how to go through the gears, but when you're thinking about, which way the circuit goes, which line you need to be on, whether you've done that right, whether you can improve that next time, then sometimes the stuff that usually you take for granted and you do without really thinking, sometimes that maybe isn't coming to you as easily as it normally would do. So, missed gears, snatching of the brakes, things like that, they definitely occur more often at circuits that you are less experienced at. Alex Miller, though, was not able to take full advantage of that. It was Matt Pickford, who once again right on board with heading through the left-hander there behind the paddock and into the tight left-hander at the S's. This used to be one long sweeping left-hander into the right-hand part there, but as you can see they've tweaked it in recent years so that it's a slightly tighter sequence of corners, and it opens up the opportunity for more overtaking, and that is good news for Alex Miller, because yet again at this part of the track he is attacking Clive Powell's. Still no way through though. Clive just seems to be able to get to the apex of the corner first. You sense that if Alex was a bit more authoritative here, maybe stick his nose a bit further into the gap, but Clive would have little choice but to let him go. Sensibly, the more motorsport driver is just trying to look after his machinery, make sure that he doesn't do any damage to the car. There are still 2 more races to go this weekend, so damage to the cars in this later on in the weekend. It's a long way to travel. It's just to do half of one race and then damage your car. And again, Miller trying just to nuzzle his way up the inside, but Powell is having none of it. And all of the time, Matt Pickford is there rubbing his hands with glee, thinking, yeah, you two go on, you keep on fighting each other, take each other off for all I care, and then I can inherit a podium place. I think Matt is quite happy just to keep watching brief here, because he can see that Miller is starting to get a bit frustrated. He's clearly a bit quicker than Clive Powell's at this stage of the race, and again he looks to the inside at the S's. There's still no way through, and you have to wonder how long Alex can keep this patient game up. Oh, and again, it happens again. Clive Powell does not accelerate out of the S's, and this time not only does he lose third, but he loses fourth as well, and Matt Pickford does gain a position this time, and I'm wondering now whether that's not just missed gears, maybe there's some sort of an issue with the gearbox, because that's twice at that part of the circuit we've seen Clive Powell's fail to accelerate out of the corner, and that time it really cost him time, and it cost him 2 positions. So Clive drops down to 5th place. That's a real shame. He was looking for his first podium of the year, having come very close in the season opener at Brands Hatch, actually, easy for me to say. Last time out, he finished 4th place in the first race, was 1 spot away from the podium, and unfortunately, it looks like this first race of the weekend at Pembrey is going to see a similar frustration. Not for this man, though. Brian Chandler in the beautifully turned out number 176 machine is charging away at the head of the field. He's got over a 5-second margin now over Joe Marshall-Burke, so we might catch a glimpse of there in the background as Brian turns in through the S's. But it's been a relatively calm affair, this for Brian. Survived both of the starts of the race out in front, crucially, and was, I'm sure, not happy to see the accident that unfolded behind him between Crook, Fleet and Kell, but certainly Simon and James were going to be his 2 nearest rivals in this race, and they were both out of it on the first lap. We saw another glimpse there from the onboard camera with Matt Pickford of a slowing Clive Powell, so whatever the problem is, it keeps on striking coming out of the S's, which is odd. Anyway, not bothering Brian Chandler, he continues on his way now, fires it across the start-finish line onto another lap, and the BC Cars machine looking as rapid as ever here in the hands of Brian Chandler. Actually hasn't had that many wins in Mark 3 racing. In fact, it's possible that those Anglesey victories were his only 3, because he's never won a race in the MX-5 Super Cup. In fact, I don't think he's even had a podium in that championship, so Brian, as I said, that's not a slight on his ability as a driver at all. It's just the fact he hasn't done that much Mark 3 racing. He's had an awful lot of success in Mark 1s. Joe Marshall-Burke, though, a relatively new name to the Mazda MX-5 paddocks, and he He is already establishing himself as a regular front runner. Had a victory in the middle of the 3 races at Brands Hatch, and had a podium finish in the first race as well, 4th in race 3. So Marshall Burks was consistently up there, and I think he had a stint in the lead of 2 of those 3 races. James Kell through to away from the lead in dramatic fashion in the second race of the weekend at Brands Hatch. James, unfortunately, hasn't even made it around the first lap of racing here at Pembrey. This one was not his fault. Marshall Burks, then one of the best turned out cars in a grid of very well turned out cars, it must be said. Real high level of pride taken in the preparation of these machines. A lot of the drivers preparing the cars themselves in the Super Series rather than running for a big organisation who prepare the cars for them. BC Cars, of course, for Brian Chandler, that's his own team. Joseph Marshall Burks also preparing the car himself. But then you've got the Bora Motorsport car of Alex Miller in 3rd place, who is looking for that first podium of the year, and possibly his first ever podium, actually. Casting my mind back last season, I don't remember seeing him running inside the top 3 all that often. Matt Pickford is 4th and somewhere ahead of Clyde Powell's now, who clearly has got some sort of a drama going on in that car. There's Cameron Thompson with Darren Kell, the orange machine, just behind him. Snatching a break there. Both of these two looking for their best finishes so far in the Super Series. Loris Cross still on the back of Darren Kell's car as he continues his early steps in the world of motor racing. Not a bad place to do it either, the Super Series. That's the whole point of the MX-5 Super Series, really, is that you can jump into these ultra-competitive Mark III machines without the cost and indeed the pressure that comes with racing in the full MX-5 Super Cup. That's a grid full of some of the strongest drivers in MX-5 racing, in British motor racing. And sometimes drivers find that that's a bit too much of a step up, particularly if they're making their first appearances in a racing car. So the Super Series is there to cater for those maybe stepping up from the One Championship, maybe who are just looking to try and get some more track time before they make a full season campaign in the Super Cup. Or in Darren Kell's case, they can make their debut in motor racing in the Super Series without having to worry about the pressures of scoring championship points and racing against these ultra-competitive teams and drivers. They can just ease their way into it, and then when they're ready, then they can start moving into the Super Cup and beyond. Well, at some point in recent laps, Cameron Thompson has lost this place to Darren Kell, because I think the last time we checked in with them, the orange car was in front, wasn't it? So Cameron Thompson has regained the 6th position. Darren Kell dropping back a little bit over recent laps. They're both catching, though, Clyde Powell's because of his drama, so I wonder whether or not they'll be able to get to him before the end of the race. The gap's around 7 seconds at the moment, so we'll monitor that with interest. We're into the final couple of laps now, though, so they are fast running out of time. Through the S's goes Matt Pickford. There is the Thompson and Kell pairing. Not really a battle at the moment, because, as I said, Kell has dropped back a little way. So, he's been doing better than his son is in this race. And in fact, at Brands Hatch, despite the fact that James Kell won the opening race of the day, actually, it was Darren who had the stronger weekend because he finished all 3 races, which was not something that could be said of James. Well, here is the race leader, Brian Chandler. He's on to the final lap of the first race now. It's been a very, very straightforward race by MX-5 standards, but in this heat, and again on a circuit that even Brian won't have a huge amount of experience at, it's still been a positive and a strong run here from the BC Cars Motorsport driver. Hat-trick is looking very doable, I'd say. Wales. Very happy hunting ground for him as a country, isn't it? With those 3 wins he had at Anglesey last year. Right now, on his way to win number 1 of hopes 3 here at Pembrey. That's certainly not for certain. It depends, I guess, on whether the likes of Simon Fleet and James Kell can get out for the next race. But even if they can, they'll be starting from the back, because the grid positions for the next race are based on the result from this one. So Brian Chandler will be on pole position as long as he gets around these final 2 corners in one piece, whilst Kell and Fleet and of course Jeremy Crook as well will all be starting from the back of the grid. However, we'll deal with that later, because for now it's all about Brian Chandler, who's about to take his 4th MX-5 Super Series victory, his first of 2019 though. He crosses the start-finish line, sees the checkered flag and wins the opening race here from Pembrey. It was a slow final lap, so Joe Marshall-Burks is going to be a bit closer to him than he had been earlier on in the race. The winning margin just over 5.2 seconds in the end. And for third, it will be Alex Miller. A brilliant drive that from Alex. He really earned that, overtaking Matt Pickford and Clyde Powell's during the race. So it's Chandler, Burks and Miller your podium men. Then Matt Pickford and Clyde Powell's round out the top 5. Cameron Thompson, Darren Kell and Liz Walton are next. Then Declan Lee, Simon Fleet, James Kell all non-finishers. Jeremy Crook was excluded as a result of contact on the initial start to the race.
Can I have a beer now?
First you can. Thumbs up first.
Brian, that was a well-deserved win. You were out there by yourself, but it must have slowed down a bit after the restart.
Yeah, the cars was hot, it's hot out here, and to be fair, there weren't really nothing to push for, so it was just circulating. It was, obviously, we've built a new car for Sam Tatler, so I thought I'd come and shake it down this weekend and see what it's like, and it seems to be okay, so yeah, well done to the boys back at the workshop for building a good car.
Joseph, what a race. Talk us through it.
It was a good race, yeah, to be fair. I was going down, I don't know what corner it is, but down here, and then locked up and I was like, next bit I'm in second. I wasn't hoping for a podium, but it's what it is, isn't it? I'm happy.
I was going to say, you can have worse races.
Yeah, you can have worse races, yeah. I was lucky not being in that accident, to be honest. All them were written off now, aren't they? So it's lucky to be here.
This is not just a well done, this is a huge congratulations to you. First podium.
Thank you very much. Yeah, very pleased. Very good race. Hot, obviously, but yeah, very pleased with how that went.
How did you feel after the restart? Were you ready for it?
Yeah, I think so. I think there are a few gaps in front of me on the grid, so lots of space to aim at. But yeah, I think so. The start was okay. Let a couple of them pass me, but then made it a mission to get back past them. I thought I was finishing third no matter what happened. So yeah, very pleased.